All right, Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise, glory, and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rachah, Kodash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessing to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect. Shalom, Barakathum. I'm going to speak a little bit about the Warren Buffett and the general plan of the elites as they flee. Now, there's a headline here that I want to spend a brief moment on. It's called Trillions Spent on Secret Underground Cities to Protect Elites from Near Extinction Event, ex-Bush official claims. All right, now we know the scriptures speak about this very thing because the scriptures are telling you what will happen, not what can happen, not a possibility. It's telling you what will happen, okay? And the Lord sent men to break these down for you, all right, as they occur in the earth and before they occur in the earth. All right. And then this is when we're going to see a lot of Israelite camps, double talking or going back on what they said. The proud of our nation, they're not going to repent. They're just going to act like they never said it or act like they knew the whole time when they didn't, and they're talking about things that don't matter. And what are we doing? Isaiah 42:9. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and the new things do I declare before they spring forth. I tell you of them. All right. So that's our mission. That's what we're here to do. Okay. Tell you what's going to happen before they happen. All right. Now, does that mean we all get divine revelations and new revelations and miracles? No. But if we're speaking the things that will happen, that makes us a prophet. Okay. And these things will surely come to pass. Okay, why are they doing this? Trillions spent on secret underground cities, okay? Because the elites have no intention on downgrading their lifestyle, even if they're in hiding, if you can believe it. Your ass is in a 1-bedroom, 450 square feet studio, all right? You got your neighbor got blunt smoke coming through the air vents from your neighbor. You can hear him popping his woman, all right? You got all kind of smells and things going on from the previous people, and you're not living, okay? But these elites, they are, man, and they're proud as hell. Back to the part that I wanted to speak about. Let me go to it. Let me find it real quick. Type in Warren Buffett. All right, this nigga's 94 years old. All right, worth $168 billion, and he's low level compared to the other elites. The other elites, they got so much money that you really can't even tie a US dollar value to it, to be honest. All right, and it says Berkshire Hathaway, which is his company that he owns, stock drops after CEO Warren Buffett announces his successor. It says Warren Buffett is not retiring for good, as Berkshire votes to keep him as chairman. All right. And let me type this in real quick. Warren Buffett issues final warning. Hoards record.
Let's go ahead and move on.
Yeah, this is from Breaking Point. That's a Spirit, 144 million, 1.44 million. It says Warren Buffett issues final warning, hoards record cash. Now, I happen to know that this guy sold a bunch of Apple stock last fall, okay? He sold a bunch of Apple stock right after Apple, basically, Apple releases iPhones every September or so now. Sometimes they'll do a second version of it in March, but every 6 months, March and September, they usually do, their iPhone sales or a version of it. And after that, he sold a bunch of stock, and he had a lot of Apple stock. That's a lot of his money was made off of Apple, and he sold a bunch of it, and he started putting it in cash. Okay, he started hoarding cash. Now, if you know anything about finance or high finance, when investors do this, they sell a bunch of stock and they hold a bunch of cash. The reason they do that is because they see a crash coming. Okay. And what they do is they take all of their money out of the stock market, hold the cash, and then when the market drops, they got all of that cash laying around, and they can go back in and buy at a low price. Okay, they call it buying the dip. Okay, so it's never a good sign for an economy when a guy this ahead of the game, who knows the markets and world markets, are hoarding a bunch of cash, you know. And now we get this news that he's stepping down as CEO. Part of it is because he's 94. He might be on his way out of there, you know. But the other thing is he knows, okay? I read also Jeff Bezos just made a request to not a request, but he announced that he's selling 5 billion or 4 point something billion in Amazon stock. Okay? Why are they doing that? To get that cash. Why are these billionaires doing that, man? You know, you saw all these CEOs stepping down. I read another article. A lot of CEOs are stepping down and they're having a hard time filling the jobs. All right? Why is that? You know? Because they plan on escaping something dire that's getting ready to come here in America. See, it's all good to have a stock market crash, but when the actual physical grocery store shelves start to dry up, which is about to, then you got a national security issue. Okay, that's what you have in your hands. All right, you've never seen a population this overweight, this obese, this stupid, and not has no sense of where food comes from. They just wake up and look on their phone and get it. You know, you've never seen this many people, and it's way more than 350 million people, have food insecurity on a mass scale this suddenly. Okay, it should have been a sign when they were doing buy now, pay later on groceries. You know, but these people they don't consider. All right, so these elites are getting up out of here, man. This is Amos chapter 9 verse 2. Though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. This is speaking about the elites. Digging into hell goes into them going underground. Okay, what does this headline say? Let me go back to it. Trillions spent on secret underground cities to protect elites from near extinction event. Ex-Bush official claims the U.S. government has funneled trillions into a covert network. Covert means secret, okay, of underground cities designed to shield the elite from an impending near extinction event, according to a bombshell claim by former Bush administration official Catherine Austin Fitts. All right, in a recent interview with Tucker Carlson, Fitts alleged that at least 170 high-tech bunkers, some buried deep beneath the ocean floor, have been constructed across America since 1998, hidden from public view and accountability. Boom, under the ocean floor. Didn't the scripture just say that? I didn't even know it was going to say that. It says, Amos 9 and 2 again, though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Okay? It's another precept that speaks about them in the other one. I'll get those as well. But verse 3, it says, and though they hide themselves in the top of Mount Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. So you're going to have a lot of elites going at the very tippy top of these mountains. Okay, where it's hard. You can't even, you ever hike a mountain? That's some work, man. Now imagine trying to do bring a bunch of equipment up there. Those elites had helicopters fly up to the very top of these mountains where most people can't get to. Okay, and build out a whole bunker, a whole like town. You watch that movie Homestead, they're basically in the Rockies, you know, way up top where it's harder for people to breathe and even just walk up there. All right, in secret and secret seclusion. Okay, so that's what they're speaking about, you know, at the top of Mount Carmel. And it says, and I will search and take them out thence. And though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. So the scriptures predicted this very thing that you see going on. They definitely have bunkers undersea, under the ground, on top of mountains. Even out in the heavens, they gonna have space stations, you know, where you just can't get to them. Okay, and they're gonna let people. They have no intention on thugging it out with the regular population of people. Okay, no intention at all whatsoever. All right, and they've been doing this since 1998. So you know by now they got whole cities in some of these areas, man. I'm gonna get that. Okay, it says Fitts, who served as Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under President George H.W. Bush from 1989 to 1990, claimed 21 trillion in taxpayer dollars were funneled into the project between 1998 and 2015. Okay, and it's funny because the Pentagon had a accounting error, okay, of about 20-some trillion dollars. You know, they just don't know where we miscalculated. We don't know where the money went. They stole it, man. It wasn't even real money, but what happens when they print that much money, even though it's not real, it adds on to the debt. It affects the global markets, and it affects productivity, how much everybody gets paid to do certain works. The amount of hours you have to work now just to live is astronomical, man. You used to be able to work 30, 40 hours a week and take care of a whole 3-bedroom, you know, house, a family, a dog, you have a boat, a backup house, you know. Now your ass is working 80 hours a week, DoorDash and everything. You like, man, I hope I can make rent on this 500 square feet apartment now, you know. So you got to forget about the money, the dollar, just the amount of work you got to do. That's what they do when they print money. Because you say, well, how does it really debt if it's not real money? Well, that's how. Okay, because the cost of things go up, purchasing power goes down. Okay. Where else was I thinking? Let me see. Was it Isaiah 2? Yep, Isaiah 2:20. In that day, a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats. Okay, and so that speaks about that in Zephaniah, in the book of Job, all right, in Ezekiel, about how gold and silver ain't gonna be worth shit. Yeah, it's wise to buy it now because the dollar's crashing, but once all hell breaks loose, that ain't even gonna save you. Okay, they're gonna like, do you have food? Do you have water? Okay, alcohol is gonna be a precious resource. Okay, and you women, the value of vagina is going to fall through the floor. Okay, you know why? Do you know why? Because men are not gonna, the simps are gonna be gone in the first wave. Okay, and men are just gonna take it. Okay, or you just gonna offer it up to them because you don't have anything. You know, you can't max out a new credit card in this day. Okay. But verse 21, it says to go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks for fear of the Lord Yahweh and for the majesty, for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. So when the shaking terribly of the earth goes into the thermonuclear destruction. And so this coincides with the time that we're in. Whenever you start seeing elites fleeing, going to bunkers, going underground, under the ocean, in the heavens, all right, that means the Lord is on his way back. He's very, very close. And like the scriptures say, you can tell the season that we're in. All right. How do you know that it's near summertime? I'll get it real quick. Isaiah 24, I'm gonna butcher it. I mean, Matthew 24. Matthew 24:32. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender, he putteth forth leaves. Ye know that summer is nigh. So you can tell when summer is. You may not know that it's May or it's June, but you know that it's summertime because you can look and you can see the leaves. You can see fruit. You know, just like you can tell what day it is. Not what day it is, but when it's wintertime, when there's no leaves, there's snow. So there are indicators basically on when the Lord will return. And these are part of the things that we would see when the Lord gets back. Call halal Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai, man. I'm so sick of looking at you people, man. We are sick of looking at you people, man. We're sick of going to work every week, you know, having to suffer a bunch of goddamn heathen, man. You know, brothers dealing with all kind of issues, man, and there's no relief. Everything here is oppressive, man. You know? Let me go. Where was the other one? I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get that in Revelation 6 as well. Where is it? The Lord is getting ready to visit this place, man. All right, and it's about to be a horrific judgment for the vast majority of you. Okay. Yep, that's one in Obadiah 1 and 4. Okay. Yep. Actually, I'll go to verse 3. It says, "The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock." It's alluding to Esau, Edom, and his later empires, which would be the Greco-Roman empires, the Greek and Roman empires, which is reincarnated as America today. Okay. It says, "Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?" Okay. And that's who you got ruling over us, man. All right. It says, "Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle," that's a clue. All right. "And though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord Yahweh." So they have a nest among the stars, man. Okay. They are planning to just be in open rebellion and then try to escape the judgment for it, but they're not gonna escape. That's what we read in Amos 9. Okay, and here as well. It says, "Thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord Yahweh." Okay. So there is no escape for these people, man. Okay. Why do you think the scriptures say, "Measure thou the time diligently," man? Okay. This is Revelation chapter 6, and I'm gonna go down to verse. I'll start at verse 14. It says, "And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places." Isaiah spoke about this. The prophet Isaiah spoke about this. What does it look like when something is rolled together as a scroll? What did he see? Okay. What looks like a scroll? I'll get an image of it real quick. What looks like a scroll in the heavens? Okay. Let me get an image of it. There's a bunch of them. Okay. You see that? That looks like a scroll. Okay. Let me get a few more. Boom. That looks like a scroll. Okay, when it says the heavens are rolled together as a scroll. Okay. So they saw thermonuclear destruction. Okay. That's what this is speaking about. So we're in that time where that's getting ready to go down. Okay. It says, "And every mountain and every island were moved out of their places." What else could do that? Okay. It says, verse 15, the main point, "And the kings of the earth and the great men," okay, and Warren Buffett is a great man in this society. He's one of the elites, okay, and there's a bunch of them, and not just him, a lot of CEOs, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, they have no intention on staying here, okay. It says, "And the kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains." Now, why are they with Esau, Edom? Because he's not looking to do his own laundry, even though he's in hiding. Okay, he's gonna have security and he's gonna have workers down there, man. You probably got Jakes in underground bunkers right now, still in chattel slavery. Okay, And so that's what he has going down. And it says, and said unto the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne. So in these areas where you have these chief captains, the security, the men, the free men and bondmen, okay, they're underground, under the mountains, okay? And it says, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Okay, so this coincides when the Lamb would turn. Okay, who is the Lamb? Okay, it says, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Nobody. The entire global nuclear stockpile is going to get emptied out, man. Just like the last scene in Training Day. Instead of bullets, it's going to be missiles. Okay. Alonzo had them Russians after him, just like Esau got them Russians after him, okay? So the point was made. I could get more, but I'll end it there. Revelation 18 speaks about how you had souls of men here, okay? And all of those precious goods, and how everybody's gonna wail and weep because the whore of Babylon was destroyed, and their riches are gone with it, you know? Anyway, I'll end it there. Lord willing, this is edifying. Call halal Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem Rachak V'dah Shalom. Yasharallah.